All right, so if it looks like I'm cold, I actually am. The season is has been seemingly changed overnight where I am. Where maybe a month ago it was hot and humid, it was like summer, and we've apparently skipped autumn. Usually, autumn here is a very nice kind of Bay Area like on a summer day, 70 degrees, sunny, um, not no clouds. So if you're walking to the station, you kind of work up a sweat. But we've skipped all the way to winter. Um, so I feel like the probably two warmest places in where I'm staying now is the bed or the heated toilet seat. So that is why I'm bundled up. I'm not a Yankees fan, but this jacket goes well with everything, and it is the only warm jacket that I have. So, well, that's it away. It does look like I'm sitting in an interrogation room, so it's actually my hallway. I've moved again, and this will be the last time I move for a while. So got this spot for 10 months. I'll be kind of using this as a home base as I continue to go back and forth, which kind of touch on a little bit later. Um, yeah, recently I've been thinking a lot about the newsletter. I wanted to revive it for some time. I feel like I've had some topics and just some deep dives that I wanted to do for a really long time. Like I even have like written notes, um, parts here and there, that don't like nothing really comes of it. Just never really been too happy with it. But at the same time, this year as we wrap up 2025, um, has been like pretty crazy. The type that needs like a lot of deep work time to be really deliberate about what I say in writing, and that just hasn't, you know, uh, that just hasn't been possible for especially the last probably 6 months, just being um, in and out of various places, never really in one place for long enough. And when I am in one place, there is a much higher priority, and that's either doing a show, buying cards, um, running the core of the business, which is eBay. And not to say that shows aren't core of the business too, like they kind of go in tandem, but I feel like the eBay stuff is an area that requires a true standard of like order fulfillment, responding to messages, getting things listed often enough, and so on and so forth. Um, Trying to live life as well. Um, the last I got back here on the I want to say October 9th, and today is October 24th, and from the 10th all the way up until today, there has been some sort of social aspect of, and that's like either going card shopping with peers, um, seeing relatives that are passing through, like playing tour guide, um, and just trying to like do things that aren't necessarily card related but end up being card adjacent anyway. And as somebody with a very, I want to say like, I don't know, so social battery that when it's drained, it's drained. I'm kind of been on fumes, and the reason why it's like a priority of like making time for people who are passing through is you don't get these moments very often in life where you see them in your kind of normal or their normal environment. A lot of times that's going to be when they aren't here on holiday, um, somewhere else. And I think those are things that you remember for a really really long time. So in a way, I'm thankful for it, but at the same time, it's been really really draining too. Um, and for me as well, like it's not time off either. It's just like how I would like if I were to normally spend those hours, I would be just working. So instead of like a usual day here where I'm doing like, you know, 3 hours of Japanese lesson, and then the rest of the day card shopping. And that could be anywhere between 3 to sometimes to 6 hours. Um, just going all around, and sometimes not even buying stuff. It's just like learning, getting inspiration, just looking at cards, seeing cards, touching them, um, and then remembering that there is also a core business that needs to be run remotely as well. Sometimes when you're trading some of that for some of these moments that don't come, um, it's just priorities are a little bit different this time around. But I still have about 2.5 weeks, and I've bought a lot of stuff anyway. Still find a way to like mix kind of like those two kind of like settings, and still be able to pick up stuff. So towards the end of this, we'll go through some stuff that was bought recently, and I think today is a good example. Got to hang out with one of my friends here. Completely different world from mine. I met him in language school. One of him and his wife are like, if you think of like the friendliest, best parts of like stereotypical American, they fit that. And I'm not the only one who shares that. Another personal friend of mine who knows them as well through the language school shares that opinion too. And it's just like a breath of fresh air to be able to see people who aren't exactly connected to the world, and that also helps me too, like work wise. And he came with me today, and we went around Akiba, and I kind of talked through, went to the car shops, talked through what I was seeing. He got to see firsthand. He doesn't know what Pikachu is. That's what we're talking about. But he's an insanely sharp guy who can like pick up, follow what I'm saying, like going pretty deep on some of the subjects and like what I look for in cards, and can like the reactions to it are very genuine, but using kind of his background in real estate and business, to kind of keep my mind and challenge me. So that was amazing. And it's always good to it's just great being able to see people like that, every time come in and out. And then not only that, like what else? Seeing even like peers who are involved in cards that are passing through as well, and you have some overlapping days. You get to do the card stuff together, but still get to spend time with them outside of the normal setting. Again, hanging out with Omar and his wife Sabrina, and for them it's like vacation, but still passing through and sharing meals with them when they got here, and then again before they left, and getting to hear about like him not doing completely Pokemon on the trip, and him getting experience different places, and like just sharing big news and big life milestones as well, and getting to share those with people who are just important. Also, I hung out with Warren and Brandon, spend time with them, quickly becoming really good friends, both of them. Warren, he's been a peer in the card show space for a long time, and we share a lot of similar interests outside of cards. And getting to know kind of friends of friends and having kind of opposite personalities too. Like for me, like I'm pretty withdrawn, takes me a while to warm up for people, but like I think for me the perfect counter to that is somebody who can kind of like bring that out. And there are a lot of people that come to mind already, that do that, and they've become really important. And again, getting to know his friend. We all went out the other night, and that was a great time. I only have one of the, like every now and then only have one of those nights in me, and then after that it's like I gotta tap out for a while. But Brandon's like crypto guy, crypto background, and getting to kind of get to know his experiences and just mindset outside of cards, but applying that to cards was really eye-opening for me and inspiring. And I think the theme that I'm getting at here is just having relationships, connections, inspirations that aren't exactly related to this space, but being able to use that as inspiration to fuel my work and craft in an approach to how I run things as a business and in my life as well. So I think it's brought a lot of balance to what I'm trying to do now and in the next year or two, because this is a long-term thing for me. I've done this for a good 5 years now, and what started as something to do on the side during the lockdowns, during job loss, job transition of I've got this corporate job, corporate structure, traditional life structure of salary, health insurance, taking care of needs through a salary, reporting to a boss, prioritizing the career ladder and thinking that the craft in product management was going to be my career. You naturally, and I think for me, like I was finding enjoyment elsewhere, and that was in the cards and going down this rabbit hole of collecting, curation, history, so on and so forth. So I think where I'm getting at here is that like I've been at this for 5 years now, and what started as a part-time thing naturally turned into a full-time thing. And from it being a full-time only income thing, it took me a while to like grasp that and embrace it. For a good year or so in 2023, I was still very much 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door, thinking that like I wanted to ride the corporate kind of structure for as long as possible until the wheels fell off. But deep down, I knew that that at some point, Pokemon full time was gonna be the move. And when you actually, it's really easy to say that, and it's really easy to kind of like let emotion and passion take over, and that's not a bad thing. But you also have to be realistic with your expectations, realistic in knowing that it becomes your only income, and it has to pay not only the bills of the business but the bills of your life as well. And making sure that you have all of that stuff taken care of, whether it's loans, health insurance, debt, etc. Some people, it's a family, it's a mortgage. And for me, I'm in a position where I don't have any of that. So that was the another reaffirming catalyst that now is the time to do that, to do kind of what I do now. And um, I think I've said it maybe in a few different places, but it's the best decision I've ever made in my life. And when I mean long term of me doing this, I was always going to give myself a year, a bad year, to rethink it. And it hasn't happened, and it will not happen through at least the next year. So I have until at least 2027 to have a bad year. And that's not hubris saying this, it's experience, it's working this business through the down period. Back then we called that normal. And I think it's just a lot of things where, like, it's just crazy to think that if you said that you started this in the Pokemon space, at least, if you started during 2020 boom, you'd be considered like a battle hardened veteran by now. Like if you're still here from when it started back then. And I'm learning a lot from people who are a little bit newer now. Maybe it started in the last 2 years, but clearly very good at what they're doing. There's some merit to that. While riding the wave of this boom is a portion of that. I think navigating that takes some skill as well. But that being said, like, this boom has been it's extremely forgiving for everyone who's involved, because even if you are, let's say, down on something, you can get out of it pretty easily. And that's a lever that wasn't necessarily there a few years ago. Now I've gotten like pretty far off the beaten path of kind of where I want to get with this. And that's also why I haven't kind of discussed anything at length recently. You know, I've just had a lot of miscellaneous thoughts in the last 10 months of kind of this craziness. So, kind of like reeling this back in, you know, there have been a lot of points of inspiration of like how I view this going long term, and to kind of put a bow on like just like recent points of inspiration. I recently watched a documentary on fossil collecting. That space is crazy. It was a great documentary. There's two parts. I'll link it. I think each part is around an hour, and just collecting. There are so many parallels that you can make to our space, and just shows how small we are compared to like the other areas, like other adjacent areas. I think a lot of easy parallels can be made to non-essential goods like bags or watches or sports cards. But fossil collecting was one that, you know, was a world I had no idea existed. And the documentary starts off with like it just hooks you in instantly. They're doing a Sotheby's auction, and got like a fucking stegosaurus going for $30 million or 40, and they navigate the different areas of that space of the end collector, and a lot of it's in Southeast Asia. I'll get back to that in a second. The different players in the space. You've got like the people in like bumfuck middle of nowhere America who like own like parts of land, and their job is to dig up fossils, and like they take the fossils and then they sell them. And like there's this whole life cycle that's shown throughout the documentary of like where the fossils found, like a bidding process of who can get it, reconditioning, another space where like resin molds are made. It's like replicas because who has like that much money to drop on a fossil? Apparently, only Southeast Asians do nowadays. And man, yeah, it was just crazy. Museums who are gatekeeping a bit, saying that the fossils shouldn't be sold because we need the data for the history. And also just like enthusiasts too. Like, I watched Jurassic Park, and I've never watched Jurassic Park, but the people they quote saying, "After all, I watched Jurassic Park, and now I love like fossils." Uh, and then the black market of fossils too. Like, it's illegal to like export fossils from Mongolia. Like, God, it was a crazy watch. Like, I almost got to like rewatch it again because I feel like I learned a lot. That like, if you took a lot of those buzzwords and replaced them with Pokemon terms, like, it'd be almost the same. And I think the kind of like the connection here, kind of going back to Southeast Asia, is like, we've seen in our space much of the kind of money coming from there. It's like an emerging market of like not only just like crazy rich Asian type who's sinking money into alternative asset, but also apparently like a rising middle class, and they want to get into collecting too. And it's like this trickle down effect almost, where it's like, oh, we can finally participate in the space. And my kind of opinion on it too is like in Asian culture, there's a lot of like keeping face and keeping up with your peers. So there's almost just like peer pressure to keep up with those, because if the guy next to me drop money on trophy card, and it's like all of a sudden I feel like I have to do the same too. So yeah, that was fascinating. I recommend it to. I feel like it's essential watching to anyone who is operating seriously in our space. I guess I recommend it to the 5 people, like to my friends who are kind of made it through here. Another thing, recently I went to the Van Gogh Museum in Tokyo, in Ueno, and I'm not a huge museum guy at all, but I think, again, just like, I feel like with the Pikachu, it's something that it's a cheap thing to do, and no, like, there's no mention of Pikachu in the exhibit. So the world does not revolve around Pokemon, but yeah, just learning about even collecting back then in the 1800s, a lot of the degenerate tendencies still exist today. Of just like, back then it was art trading, or locking yourself in a room and painting things all day, and painting like the horizon, or just like a fucking wheat field. So it's not like a huge surprise that the guy went crazy. And yeah, grand opening 27, grand closing 37. So I guess the guy did what he loved, ripped off his ear. Had falling out with friends who, in my opinion, were kind of better than him at what he was doing. In my opinion, it's just my opinion. So yeah, it would take you through this journey of like the art that Van Gogh made in his life, art that he admired in his life, art that he traded in his life, and art that had similar impact during that time, and people influenced by him as well. So just a little, like, a lot of different things to kind of add, just to like things that I've been thinking a lot about lately. Maybe the last thing too another point of inspiration is um, yeah, a buddy of mine has been working on a project, and he's been bouncing a lot of, just like thoughts and observations, uh, off of me, just to keep himself honest, to help create like um, his overarching kind of um, vision for the project. And it just goes to show like how thankless some of these projects can be, because nobody ever sees the work that goes into it. Nobody, a lot of people don't see the amount of hours that get put into it. Yeah, everyone only sees the end product, but I think behind it all, there's a lot of smart people who, could be doing a lot more, or could be making a lot more for themselves, just from a pure financial aspect. But sticking to their guns to do things on their own terms, live life on their own terms. Even if it's a struggle right now. And I think for me, uh, I empathize a lot with that, because to kind of go back to whole corporate work structure tradition, I think you stay the path, especially in the Bay Area in tech. I think it could be a lot more lucrative than maybe what we do. But I think if the passion's there, and if what you put in is a direct result of what you get out of it, it'll all take care of itself in the end. And I asked a question to some friends, to myself. I asked a question to some of my friends about what they hope to get out of, being so deeply involved in our space. Because we all have different backgrounds, different perspectives, different life situations, and some are still balancing full-time jobs. Those who know like the actual like work that gets put into this, a lot of the time that you give up on weekends to like do a show, or the amount of time that this is not a 9 to 5. I just asked like why, and a lot of the answers are different. A lot of the answers involve friendship, connection, you know the everyone's favorite word, community. But it's actually true when you do get put into this third space. A lot of like really strong connections that I have now wouldn't be there without Pokemon. And this question of like what you would hope to get out of like putting a non-trivial amount of time into our space, for me, like I feel like I've gotten a lot of clarity out of that in the last maybe month or so. I think it's something I deep down knew from last year, this year, kind of testing out this like come and go, always on the road, kind of lifestyle. And it's tough on the body, but it's done what it needs to do to make the business work. And I think maybe in the last like month, especially after this 8 week straight show stretch in July, August, September, brutal, but it worked out the way it did. Through the next year in 2026, I feel like I can refine that a lot, and the experimentation is what you have to do. So, kind of get back of what I hope to get out of this is, living life on my own terms, and I've bounced this off of people in the last few weeks. It's gonna take a complete 180 now, but homes, like the traditional life structure in America was go to school, get a job, have a boss, kiss your boss's ass until you get a promotion, get the promotion, change jobs, stay at the job, make salary, uh, you know, get married, have kids, buy a house, get locked in a mortgage for 30 years, keep working, retire at 55, whatever it is, and die. Ideally, after 55. And I think being in this current stage of life, I've learned about how much I don't subscribe to that. My definition of what I hope to get out of this longer term is, or at least right now, and we'll refine it more in the future as life kind of changes and twists and turns happen. But as it stands right now, I think for me, there's a better path to, instead of buying property in America, would be to buy property here and continue renting in America, because I don't plan on leaving the Bay Area. The Bay Area is home. I think after that, maybe like LA would be the next option, but still, like my roots, my social foundation is in the Bay Area. And I refuse to live in bumfuck middle of nowhere America. Having kind of been out there for shows, it's pretty bleak. The way to, like, for me to, and this isn't even lifestyle inflation either. I think it's growing up in the Bay Area, having that perspective of being in the Bay Area, and the mindset of, how I think a multicultural society should be, is rooted, in the core areas of the West Coast or the East Coast. But New York's just way too expensive and too far from where I am now. So I've been thinking about like the path to purchasing, not a large, flashy thing here. Is just the dollar goes way further. I think they're starting to become, better opportunities for the American dollar here. And part of that's arbitrage, but like it is what it is, currency wise. And I can't stress how hyper vigilant you don't necessarily have to be here, as long as you assimilate. And what that means is picking up on the cultural norms, learning the language to some extent to survive, and not being a tourist. And I think that, takes a few levels. There's a barrier to entry rather than just being a tourist, zero Japanese and just coming in and oohing and awing at Shibuya or Shinjuku without noticing how dirty those areas can get. So it's not all, it's not Disneyland here. It's not a theme park. And just understanding that and playing by those rules and assimilating, I feel like has become not only, something I've become very accustomed to here, but also perhaps a competitive advantage for the business. Anyway, it's enough yapping on that subject. Next, I'm going to make amendment to one of my Substack articles about types of buyers. I think I had 6 types of buyers in that Substack article, and I went back and read it last week or so, and most of it still holds up at shows. I think the next type of buyer has emerged itself ever since the feature launched. It is not a show buyer, but it's actually PSA. It is a lever to pull during this corporatization of mystery packs, digital mystery packs. Catch 'em All Collectibles Dan has a really good reaction to that, while also plugging Fanatics. Rightfully so. Business interests there. So totally understandable, but just the corporatization of, that garage kind of concept of a mystery pack has an impact with downstream effects that affect us as sellers who maybe don't operate in that mystery pack world more than we think. And it's a lever to pull. It's another lever to pull to sell stuff. Very briefly, for those who grade, at time of grade reveal, various cards in your submission will have offers, likely algorithm based on data points of last solds, for PSA to basically buy directly off of you. Money ends up in your Stripe wallet and then gets paid out to you. It's very straightforward. Those offers are only valid for the first 24 hours, and during those 24 hours, those numbers change. And what I'm getting at here is, when you have the opportunity to have a buyer like that instantly, it's something to consider and pay close attention to when you have grades that are ready. And the short-sighted view is, PSA is lowballing you. These offers are less than whatever the comps are. These offers are much lower than eBay lowest list, blah, 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 whatever bullshit. But, compare the labor level of clicking a bunch of buttons to get paid versus taking those cards to a show, putting them in your case, and sitting at the show all day. And none of them sell. One of them sell, whatever. Or to kind of contrast my constant eBay shilling, posting on eBay and letting it sit, and then eating fees on it, and blah, blah, blah. So the whole opportunity cost of just clicking buttons to sell stuff is there. And there are a lot of different caveats of supply and demand and the offers changing from the PSA side. What I mean by this is it's algorithm based. There's also a new program for PSA. So naturally they would come out kind of guns blazing, willing to pay. They're basically sourcing for various outlets, but the whole point of this is it's another type of buyer for you, the seller, you, the person who grades, you, the collector, who wanted to grade a PSA 10 card, but then got a 7. And also, it's a Greninja Gold Star, and it got an 8 instead. But PSA offered you $30, which is eBay lowest list, and you also have 10 of those, and PSA will buy all 10 of them. That's just an example. My example happened to me. And then if you're grading at scale, obviously there is some sort of turnaround of, paying off expensive grading fees. That's $20 per card. It's not cheap. So not only are you getting a decently strong offer, or at least an offer to consider, but that cash flow will help at least offset some of those immediate costs, instead of having to kind of look at the clock of how much time you have left to kind of pay back that PSA bill. Doesn't go for everything. Obviously, don't hit sell on every single thing. That is an option. But I would say the overall kind of framework that I kind of approach the PSA offers, and I sent this to my friends, and let's see. Okay, yeah, so there's kind of like three ways to see it, three kind of levels to this. But how I think of it is, if the PSA offer is eBay after fees and shipping, so if that number that PSA shows you is essentially what you would have gotten after eBay fees and shipping, it's a pretty good offer. You should probably take it, because like they're taking all the work out for you. You're taking all the risk off your plate. And only those who like sell on eBay would know that, because, you know, worst case scenario, you post it to eBay, you go back and forth with the buyer, whatever, like their main pain in the ass there, you just take it, and then you ship it to them, it's lost, and then you're out the card, and buyer's pissed off and they leave a negative. Stuff like that. So PSA will take it right off your hands, and if, you know, if you're gonna get eBay after fees and shipping, get rid of it. It's a pretty good offer. If they are matching the comp sale on some last sold or some auctions, that's a great deal because you're basically skipping fees. If they're matching the comp, or even like 90, 95, whatever, you know, then that kind of kicks you down to the eBay after fees bucket. And you don't have to like deal with somebody at a show who like pulls up the lowest list, lowest sale price, and tells you you're evil for not accepting their offer when you yourself have sales that are much higher than that. Totally not from personal experience, but, and if they're matching the eBay listed price, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And a lot of this applies especially so to your grading misses, because you yourself are not invincible. You are not the final say. Like the 10 you got, the 10 you thought you had, like clearly the PSA grader didn't agree with you. And if you really, really disagree that much, create your own grading company, create your own labels, and then you have your own 10 because you said so. Anyway. What else do I have here? Yeah, I mean, a couple examples I have are that PSA 8 Greninja Gold Star, or PSA 9 Gengar Dark Phantasma. PSA offer was like 38, 39 bucks, and the eBay lowest list was 39 bucks. Take it, because I have the 10s that they did not make offers on, and I'll sell those on eBay. What I don't really have a full grasp of like is what they make offers on and what they don't make offers on. All my PSA 10 Detective Pikachus, all my PSA 10 Nagala Pikachus, they did not make offers on, which is good for me. It's fine, I don't care. And then there's some other stuff where I have like dupes of 10s and they make offers on them, and you know, the offer might be kind of eBay after fees and shipping, but you know, it just means like I don't have to wait for it to sell. And I still have a few left over, which I will sell. So it's like a very, very balanced kind of, I feel like, approach. So that is something to consider. And I think kind of linking this into another thought that I've had is, in order to do this PSA offer stuff, well, maybe not always, because PSA does make some offers on some existing cards where if you have it, I think, and you send it to the vault, you can take the offer on it, but that sounds like a fucking headache. Like, I don't even, like, the amount of, like, brain processing power that I had to, like, kind of just imagine that is... that option's there, but I don't want to talk about it. Like, it sounds like a headache to do. Yeah, I just think what's interesting about it is this has downstream effects because what they're doing is they legitimately like have corporate money to do all of the sourcing to basically build these corporate mystery packs that have listed odds, clear buyback rates, like the exact dopamine formula for people to do this, whereas the garage whatnot streamer, TikTok streamer, whatever, does not really have that as much. They had some form of it. They had it in some form, but not so much of like clicking a button and you get the buyback and get account credit to then put it towards another one. And it also forces these garage mystery pack people to up their game, and that impacts people it shows too. I think these people inherently know that they have to pay very, very competitively. They have to compete with PSA now, and we'll see if the firepower is there to keep up. And like this type of product, like has that degenerate effect where like the people that are involved in that space may not be my customers. Like the level of kind of knowledge or area of the space is like in a completely different world from maybe mine or yours, or my peers. But I cannot deny the amount of activity that it creates in terms of just transaction activity, because I was watching some Twitch streamer, like I don't know, like degenerate level Twitch streamer barking at the camera, kind of like Reddit, like actually kind of energy, where they have all the answers, but they're just like yapping. They think they have all the answers, but they're just yapping. The dude, and this isn't even, there are multiples that have shown up on recommended where it's like clickbait title, doing the mystery packs until I hit 0. And the whole video, they're just grinding through these mystery packs like they're nothing. It's insane. And like that always just keeps taking like one out of the bag, and they resell it and they get a hit, and it's just this cycle. So they're just cycling through cards, and I can only imagine the amount of other people who may not be doing this on camera are involved in it as well. And as long as that activity is just cycling through, that will inform kind of like, the data set that is generated from this would be pretty insane for these corporations. It would inform kind of like their offers algorithm, where they can probably pull a lever in the future and the offers become like 50% of what they used to be, and they can A/B that as well and see if that affects kind of like their buy rate too. So pretty fascinating stuff. In the meantime, while PSA offers is there, and while it makes sense for you to do on a case-by-case basis, like use that to kind of enhance your own personal workflow as well. Because like I'll say for me, like when my most recent PSA sub was like a 300 something card submission, I think I sold 65 of them for like 6.5K. And like throughout that 24-hour period, the offers do change, and sometimes you get offers on new stuff. And using kind of like the framework that I mentioned, I just sold, just got rid of those. It's six. A lot of them were like grading misses too. So that's just less work that I have to do. Um, Again, the lever was there, and you want to maximize the amount of levers that you have to generate revenue. And can't do that easily at a show. Well, you can. You just get absolutely mauled by another vendor or a streamer. Maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, it's a headache. Obviously, anyone knows. Like, just absolute headache. A lot of times, like, you're not even happy at the end of it. But business is business. Whatever. Now on eBay, it's like you're running an auction, and you're not gonna like. You gotta wait 7 to 10 days. Like, I haven't run an auction since 2023. Like, completely outdated now. I wouldn't be surprised down the line, like, eBay starts making offers and sourcing for like a mystery bag for eBay Live. Um, it is what it is. I am fundamentally, I guess, just like my value base is not in live streams. I would never buy a card through a live stream. I do not shop through a live stream. I'm not sitting on a live stream like to hopefully find like something I want. It like for the buyer, like the time to like finding what you want, and chances are it's not going to be something you actually wanted, is not there. And I guess maybe that's a double standard on my part too, because I travel to buy cards. I bought this jacket at a flea market here back in April. One of the best finds of my life. It was only $20, and it is a vintage majestic embroidery patch. It's just got a hole there. Insulated, warm. It looks good with everything. Anyway, so maybe it's a double standard, but just not how I would buy something. And yeah, if you want to do this, if people are truly serious about doing this full time, and not just say that this is like gonna be their full-time thing, which the enthusiasm's there, I respect it. Like, you have to be just as serious with how you plan to grow, maybe not grow, nurture and develop not only business but your craft, your approach, your value set as a business, and be willing to kind of evolve those while sticking to your values. I think the streaming thing is an example, because I'm very anti-streamer, but I don't deny the impact, the different area of the space that it's created, and the downstream effects and opportunities that I would use to run my business as well. So yeah, and another conversation I was having with Warren was just around transitioning to full-time. Just now I said, like, it's in this show boom, we have seen like many people get involved with selling, and the track is there. The collector to selling track is very low barrier. You literally pay a showrunner and just bring your stuff and set up, and you have a few, maybe you have a few good shows, because like your personal collection, like you're maybe 2x or 3x on something you bought last year for your collection, and now it's up, and now you feel like it's time to move it, and you do that a couple times, you have a couple great shows, and you know and all is well. And I know I'm giving like a very abbreviated version of that track, but I think in today's conditions, like I said, everybody is correct. Everybody is forgiven for maybe the missteps. But that doesn't last forever. And I think to make this work truly long term and truly sustainable, you need to increase the number of levers that you can pull as a business. And a lot of times it's going to be your selling channels. So not only PSA offers, God, I have another like kind of like downstream effect or like takeaway on the PSA offers. I'll get to it after this, but selling online, selling on eBay. People are allergic to it, apparently. I know it's a very generalized way of just like saying you people, but so many more times than not, it shows like everybody, just people respond to me with, what the fees? What the fees? What do you do about the fees? Well, you have a fee to work at a show. Like, the fee is $300, and you have to sell $3,000 worth of stuff just for that $300 table fee to be 10% of your earnings, and you're right up there with eBay, and you're taking discounts on stuff that you sell. So it's a bit of a wash, and you're there for the whole weekend. But the biggest thing that I stress to peers, friends, I've been on record saying this with like Jake and Zach, and other people too, off the record, but selling on eBay, obviously it opens up the entire impressions opportunity. It opens up the entire basically world to your inventory, but it gives you sales that you otherwise wouldn't have had between shows. And sure, maybe you sell on stories, Instagram stories or Twitter. Like, Vincent is like a demon at that, and he's great at that. In my opinion, it's still a very active form of selling, because you're putting everything you have right now with a price, and then that only lasts like 24 hours. And you gotta repost. I've done it before when I was first starting out, and it fucking sucked. So it wasn't for me, but it works. When it works, it works, and maybe it's the environment in the market we're in now. But back in 2022 when I was doing it, like, and it's probably a me thing. It's probably a skill issue, as we all like to say. But back to eBay. It is a passive selling channel. I've said that before. Selling at shows is an active selling channel. You're present. You're there. The people there are there to buy. They're there to spend money. They're there to find what they're looking for. But it's very RNG. The person has to come to your table. They have to happen to find what you have. They have to want what you have. You then have to agree to a price with them. And then they ask you to take a look at the stuff that they have for trade. Half kidding, but that does happen. And a lot of times, the stuff, that gets brought to your tables are also RNG too. And I feel like that affects something I care about, is curation and selection. And that really, really affects, like, when you don't have control over what comes into you. I don't know how I feel about that. Philosophically, that's that doesn't align with what I want. And sometimes that's why I'm very picky about what I trade for. Fuck, it's cold. Anyway, but yeah, eBay's the opposite of that. You do it all at home. You have to post listings. You have to maintain them. You have to ship stuff. Yes, you get a 13% fee. Yes, if you do ads, you get 3% ads. Yes, you pay $5 for shipping. But in exchange, you get to sell at market. You get to set the market. Correction. You get to set the market. You get to sell at the highest price possible. A lot of the comps, or a lot of times, are based on auction prices. But that's why high comps and low comps exist, because the low comp is generally always going to be the auction, and the high comp is always going to be the buy it now. So on eBay, you can set the buy it now, sit your ass at home, and ship it when it sells. And you can sell your bricks on there. Like a lot, like I've sold, just you have buy it nows of stuff where it's like, if I had this in the case, it would just sit there. Like nobody's looking to buy, not nobody, but your PSA 7 WotC holo of a non-popular Pokemon is not going to sell just because you took it in a trade and paid 65% on it or whatever. That's something I recognize too. A lot of the people that do a lot of the 80%ers, let's say it. Maybe they're 85%ers now. Maybe they're 90%ers now. That's the counterpoint too. Is like, oh, I can't sell on eBay because I bought this at a percentage, and eBay will take off fees and take all my margin. Too bad. Figure it out. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just not applicable to me, and do what you're doing, and if it's working, great. More power to you. But in my eyes, like, do you really want to be working shows for the rest of your life and sacrificing your weekends like that? Like, do you want to work every single weekend? Probably not. And I don't know, man. That's a lot. I don't know how families do it. Like, you're a whole weekend, and maybe you have a job too. There's a lot more nuance to that. I'm aware of it. Should not generalize, but I think those are just some brief counterpoints that sometime in the future I can expand on. But yeah, between shows, like, you don't have to hope that you get to hit a home run every show and like make it to the next show. During the week, you'll have sales that you otherwise would not have had at a show. It's not guaranteed selling at a show. So if you can just sell it on eBay and sell it, set the new price for it, why not? Especially if you have 10 copies of a card. You can set the market on eBay. Like, I've sold so many cards where I have multiples of them, sell it on eBay at the buy now price, first in the buy box, and that sets that price. You sell 3-4 copies of them, and then at a show, somebody wants to pull up the auction, like, I'll just pull up my orders and just show them how much it went for on my store. And it doesn't make sense for me to sell when my net is going to be higher than their offer. So that's one thing. I feel like the 80%ers, forever trade-up challengers miss is just like rethinking the sourcing mindset and evolving the sourcing mindset to not only like take advantage of PSA offers, because you have to grade yourself for the most part to really, really make the most of PSA offers in your own submission. But also, they miss out on working through the whole life cycle of card. What I mean by that is, maybe not sometimes, a guy comes to your show with a bunch of graded cards, and you're paying a percentage on them. You can make the percentage difference of the market price, and that's your margin. That's kind of like the accessible textbook way to do this. Kind of living on the apps, living on the comps. It's data driven, apparently. Not that it's not, but every time I hear that, I just roll my eyes a little bit, because you're buying an optimized product already, and what I mean by optimized is it's already graded. It's already got the grade that's gonna get the 10, unless you can regrade it, whatever. But you're also at the mercy of where that card goes, and you see things kind of go up and down, and a lot of times, you'll hear rumblings of, I paid really high on this, blah blah blah. Take this off my hands, and I think working through the whole life cycle of a card is more helpful and more fruitful than just being 80%er. It is a lever to pull, but it should not be the core of your business. Yeah, and life cycle of a card. Sometimes, at a show, you will get that because you are sourcing raws there too. Can't deny that. But just like seeing cards, feeling cards, grading yourself. I'm not the only one to say this. This has been like hammered into people's heads since maybe the beginning of time. But submitting to grading yourself, knowing what that's like. Missing on cards. Like, do it yourself. Don't use GameStop to do it. If you have to use GameStop for the first time, fine, whatever. But knowing what it's like to have cards come in and maybe missing on a grade. You learn by doing. That's the best way to do it. You build your own perspective. You open yourself up to different kinds of cards. Ideally, it takes you, 10,000 feet deep. And nowadays, I don't think a lot of people get there. A lot of people, from what I'm seeing lately at least, is, they start where everybody starts. That's, ultra modern, new sets, pack ripping, nowadays watching POV content. POV content is adult pack ripping. Same phenomenon that we had with pack ripping during Evolutions, Pokemon Go. I was part of that too. Didn't pack rip on camera, but I consumed so much of it, and there's nothing wrong with it. Generally harmless. It's a good way to get acclimated, learn, exposure, but my critique of it is that a lot of people stay at that level because it seems, an observation that I have is they start here with everyone else, they attend card shows, it's a lot of fun, great, whatever, my cards went up in value. They want to vend themselves. They're influenced by their favorite vendor. They have to meet their favorite vendor at a fucking show or something, and then for their first show too, then they want to create content themselves. And there's also like the Reels version of it, and I think it feels like I'm probably wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But, they go straight into that. Versus, going, people go, if they're at this layer at the top, they continue to go left and right. Maybe a level down, but in the cone, they're not going straight down, and maybe it's not for everybody. At the same time, I feel like my perspective is just, I don't know. It's not for everybody. It's not going to apply to everybody. Um, like, I'm an hour, 10 minutes in, and like, I don't know. But a lot of people live here. In my personal opinion, it's more fruitful to go deeper, because from the bottom view, you can literally see up and see everything else that's been going on, and I think that's a lot more meaningful than staying up here. And maybe for myself, maybe being kind of like down there, I have the privilege of having that perspective because like it's time learning, uh dedicating basically, the last 3 years of life like to only this for the most part. Um but in my eyes, I think that's necessary to make it work uh in the immediate to long term. Um but yeah, I guess that ties back to kind of what I talk about of like making this work on your terms long term and just adding some personal perspective of what could be done on your end. So back to 80 percenters and trade up challengers, forever trade up challenger vendors. Now, like, you need to see the full life cycle of the card to be that deep, uh, because it just builds your own personal empathy for what we do and some of the challenges that are there. And also working at building just a really strong business towards wherever you want to be in the future. And I think it's all very intertwined with like increasing your selling channels, increasing your opportunities to move things, because things are more replaceable than you think they are, and prices are not going to always be as impenetrable as you think they may be. And out of sight, out of mind is a very, very real thing. And there's this, I think, as people get that deep into the space, does it really matter if like what you label as personal collection versus inventory really matter? At the end of the day, you have these things for a set amount of time. You enjoy them for a set amount of time. You move on to it. You move on. And there's gonna be, you just gotta like be really focused about what that core is. And I don't know, like, unless you plan to like get buried with this stuff or light that shit on fire when you die and get cremated, like, what is the end game there? I think everybody should think about that. It's not to trivialize this or like reduce this hobby into just numbers and a business, but for myself, like, my kind of untouchable thing right now is the PSA 10 Kardashev set. But I recognize that in the greater scheme of life, it does have to be, and and like in the greater scheme of life, it should be moved in the future. Like, at some point, if you're serious about this, there are going to be things where you can't ride the prices all the way up. At some point, deep down, you're going to be like, this feels really high. And then that's probably when it's time to sell it. And that's something that I think most sellers nowadays rely on is things going up. Whereas if you start very, very early on and really, really train your sourcing muscle, you don't have to rely on that as much because you have a sense for like value. You have a sense for card fundamentals, which is another whole thing. You have a sense for characters. You have a sense for eras. You have a sense for just things where if your worst possible scenario is breaking even, but there is only upside, then it's not bad versus whatever the app is telling you. And like there's a reason why like things that might not have many sales have that, because maybe those are things that are actually desirable. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Yeah, I guess with like eBay, it forces you to run a real business as well. Like, it spits out a 1099K at the end of the year. And if you don't do anything with it, you're going to get in trouble. So, if you're serious about this, do I have to say like more? And maybe one last thing here is, two last things actually, is we get so stuck in our world of like Pokemon that maybe we don't recognize that we also have to be ready for whatever happens outside of Pokemon, outside of the space. And I think right now I'm like walking a fine line, but like of just talking about things I have no business talking about, but there's a lot of euphoria in terms of, and you see it in content too, a lot of like really performative content where my collection value is going up, my collector portfolio, blah blah blah. Well, I can't deny that, and while I do, firmly believe that, the space is like further legitimatizing itself as like a legitimate alternative asset class of like the sports cards of the world, or the watches, or the bags, or shit, even the fossils, I guess. It still has no practical, like, real life, like I can't take the card into a store and trade it for some food. And so my point is, to like, I don't know, be ready. Be ready. It's this fine line to walk between, being really, really all in and serious about your business versus riding the wave and perhaps being naive on where things may go as the country, or at least like, the country teeters on like, is this year recession gonna happen or not? So be ready. At the end of the day, like, it's just cardboard. Like, there are gonna be bigger things that happen, and those who have those types of obligations in their structure of their life probably understand it too. So yeah, that's it for that. Um, Final point, since I said I had two more points on that, was that having these types of selling channels just take a lot of pressure off the shows. It's actual income revenue that you otherwise wouldn't have had during a show weekend. And just do what you will with that. Um, I won't expand more, but just knowing that's coming in from multiple directions on multiple types of selling channels, different selling styles, will really benefit you. And don't worry about like things being, you sell something at a show, just mark it out of stock on eBay. Like, just be on top of it. All right, well, whoever's made it this far, just skip all the way to the end. I did say I would talk about some cards and do a little show and tell. So, I'll show a few things that I picked up recently. Let me try to flip. Can I turn this camera around? Do I have to stop and do it? I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know how to turn the camera around. If I just like... Will it just be mirrored like this? Shit. Do I have to stop it? I don't want to stop it. I would have to stitch the videos together. Alright, fuck it. I'm gonna stop it. Alright, so let's go through some cards. Let's start here in the middle. So I will need that after. Actually, yeah, let's set that aside. So these are cards that I've kind of started processing already, so they're not from the same place, but nothing crazy to highlight. I think this is like a PSA 1 candidate. So like these regular tag teams have kind of steadily gone up in price. So just finding them for like $5 is kind of not rare, but becoming fewer and far between. It's popular character and Japanese exclusive. Armored Mewtwo, bought this for like $10. It's pretty decent. Why not? I'm gonna get a PSA 1. It's pretty bad. Well, it's pretty rough. Like, it's got the crease there, and it's one of those things when I take it out, you would see how bad it is. This one's pretty mangled too, but what can I say? It's like $15, whatever. Still a very, very underrated card, in my opinion. Actually, even though it's my opinion, I think it's objective fact, because it's the first. Like, there's no 10s of it. VS, been picking up a lot of these. I think people are generally starting to wake up to them now, and it has like very, very strong set identity and desire to completion for collectors. I think top down, it's a very, very strong set because like the chase, as you generally chase like Umbreon, that's gonna be number one, but even like stuff down to the commons is really sought after. I think this can 10. Only spent like $6.50 on it, so if I don't get a 10, I get even if I get as low as an 8, I'm pretty protected. I think EXs, Japanese EXs are, when you can find an old card like this of drinking age for, you know, that $20-$30 range. That's not bad. Like, yes, they used to be, yeah, you used to find them, even though they're kind of damaged, in like the 500 yen storage bins. That time has passed, and pretty good is good enough most of the time. It was 1,000 yen. Like, it's got the corner thing there, but like, it's got a little corner there too, but I mean, come on, like, it's so good. Game Boy promo. Another VS. This was like $3, whatever. Non-hollow Vaporeon. This was pretty clean, so that'll probably go into grading. It's Kingdra. Another like pretty good copy of an old card. Like, if we're to kind of break down the eras now, like this, you know, most people would still call this modern, but what year is that? 2013? Like, I don't know. It's almost in high school. Maybe it's like mid-modern. That's what I personally dub it, like mid-modern. Like, it's gonna be like black and white, XY, middle modern. Another VS. Cycle through these ones faster, but like these commons have a good track record on the eBay. Make sure these, I'll fix that later. Fix it now, Jesus. Anyway. Yeah, I can't take every single card out of the sleeve, but yeah, these Tag All-Stars cards have consistently been strong. Like, both graded in 10, 9, raw. They check all of those boxes, so they make it for extremely versatile stock. Like, very versatile options for, like, strong collectability. And though I can't say it's not, like, I can't say it's a Japanese exclusive, but the lack of the English option keeps it where it's at. This is a card I still buy for some reason, even though, like, my back stock of, like, unsold show inventory, probably because I haven't priced too high, but don't want to do that. It looks a lot worse on camera, but I have my hands around the thing, so. It's got the corner thing there, but I think I found this one for, God, like $250. Like, I just never seen this card for that price in so long. Like, so long. And it's obviously not gonna 10, but it's a trainer card getting older, popular character, like priced way below lowest listeds on eBay, or at least whatever's on eBay at a similar price. the condition on eBay is way worse. So it automatically makes for a better option. Let's go through these since they're here. So I'm gonna put that aside. Basically a PSA 1 Blastoise CD promo, but $40. I'm gonna take it out, but like there is value to being the absolute cheapest option for somebody. Like, yes, the condition warrants it, but like the only time I was able to buy a CD promo Blastoise for cheaper was like at a store that I genuinely feel like I got kind of lucky with finding it, along with other badly damaged old back cards. So they don't come out, that kind of value doesn't come around too often. And I can't stress that, like, can't stress enough that you just can't bat 1,000 when it comes to this stuff. Like, there are going to be misses. Like, it's a, you know, check your guy at the door type of thing. You know? How much on Slowking? Always tough to find good condition. It's funny, this one was priced at $4,000, but there's one that was priced at $5,000 and had a crease. So I do have a theory that sometimes mix-ups happen with cards and their prices. Like sometimes if you have multiple prices on a card, like at a store, and if somebody's looking at a bunch of cards, maybe a card makes its way into the wrong sleeve. I haven't seen this card at this price in a long time, so it's not even that bad. It doesn't have like a bend, so felt right. I think these cards are extremely underrated. These glossy promos, these glossy PCG era promos, like not even just these, but like they have it for Mudkip, the other fucking Hoenn starters, Mudkip, Torchic, Trico, Latios. Like the store had like all of them. They're very like pack fresh, and I made the mistake the other day of just not buying them all. It is what it is. Right. I gotta keep some of this stuff together, so do that there. We'll do these. This might be kind of random. I have 3 copies of these. And I've sold worse condition copies on eBay for $20, so like these are, what was it, like LP plus, near mint, not on a 10 scale. Keep your expectations in check. That's pretty bad whitening there, but if I send them PSA, they get a 7, so near mint. And no bends, no nothing. This was a very strong deal, in my opinion. Felt like a no-brainer with where 2002 has gone. Pretty clean. It's like a near mint minus kind of thing. Like very minimal, if any, hollow scratching. A lot of like you do this enough, like you just know, like Like that processing kind of is there for like price memory, condition memory. Mix all those together and kind of know where you're walking around, know what you're looking for, and everything comes a lot more naturally to you. This is a mangled copy, but how much was it? Yeah, haven't seen it at that price in like 4 or 5 years. Like whatever, I'll take it. If it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. Whatever. I don't really know. I do know why I bought these, but sold this only sold as a set at Fuku. This set was there for a while. I was like, yeah, there's probably something wrong with the card. Obviously, this has massive crease. The more desirable card has a massive crease on it. There are better condition copies on eBay, only listed at like $35-40, but with what I spent for the set, which is that price, it was worth it because this card is this one's pretty decent. Keep moving now. It is late and it's almost time to go to sleep. Otachu pick up. So gotta, whoa, no damage. Nope, just kidding. So it's a good eye appeal, just like straight on. Like you had it in a binder, look really solid. And you take it out and it's got the issues, so it's like a medium play. Like I've seen copies that are bent in half that are priced at that, so that felt right. This one's pretty clean too, so just like E-Series hollows that are pretty clean. Like this one's got like a scratch inside. The issue with this Oyama is obviously the issue with the peeling off of the vending sheet, but other than that, like you see that sheen on the gloss. I mean, there's some surface there, but you still see like that shine from the gloss. And this, in my opinion, still qualifies for like one of those, as long as at the right price, any grade, any condition, like you'll find someone. As the raw price goes up, it becomes, I think, in my opinion, it becomes more difficult to find a buyer. Whereas if the raw price has already gotten pretty exorbitant, you might as well pay a little bit money to get a third-party opinion, get it in a case, because it would protect that very expensive card, and give a little bit presentability to that grade that it receives. My point, I guess, to put in better words, is a PSA 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever, like, gives a little bit more substance to the buying decision rather than just saying, please buy my fucked up $2,000 card. There. I'm gonna grade that. That was pretty clean. Again, like EX era, this is pretty decent. It's got a scratch on it. Level X, $15. Do I need to say more? Pretty good. EX era Rayquaza. Look at that front.
like Rayquaza has, like, over the years, it's made its way into like S tier Pokemon. Like Pikachu, Charizard, Umbreon, Gengar, Rayquaza. Like, I wouldn't know what else I was missing. Psyduck's a 6-man. Ancient Mew, I feel like I paid kind of high on this. It's like PSA quality. This is a clean front, bad back. This is gradable. E-Series again. Typhlosion, like $70. Clean. Pretty decent, whatever. Pretty clean is good enough for these card asks, especially these prices. Because, yeah, see, so you can see kind of like that, you know. Yeah, in the light, but head on, it looks really clean, but, you know, it's there, but I think PSA, like, Jesus, PSA 5 is like 150. Another popular Gengar near mint minus. This Mew, man, I had my camera earlier, just like look, just like I was just spending like 10 minutes admiring, like look at that gloss. So good. It was really clean. You can see a lot of this later. And then yes, magnet loaders, fun. So obviously Masakis have gotten very, very expensive. They've reached what feels like a new kind of price entry, I guess. 45,000 yen. C rank. I think kind of you can see the Masaki mark right there. My barometer, I'm just like using it to measure, like I've sold like PSA 6 for like 550, 600. And then I also sold on the other end, like PSA 3 for like 325. So do the math. Like, you can kind of slot it in somewhere. Like, based on what you see, it's like, what I say? It's like when they negotiate athlete contracts, like, it's like similar, you know, this player in this tier got this contract, and, you know, this player in this tier got that contract, and based on your performance, we can probably slot you in somewhere in the middle, and that applies to a lot of these, like, obvious not 10s, but just the values there. And like, yeah, this one's like definitely, this one probably falls into that like three category. And again, like, I'm not gonna be batting 1,000 on this. So like, maybe you're thinking like, why the fuck did he buy this? Like, you don't know unless you try. Obviously, that's pretty bad. But head on, like, that hollow is still insane. Like, look at that reflection. Anyway, PSA 5 is like a $500 card. Sold a PSA 1 in August for $375. There's a range. Like, every grade and every condition has a number that it can slot into, and ideally, like, you can get below as many of those numbers as possible at your sourcing price. Now, what is a little more difficult that I've seen over time with this card was that at higher price points, going back to like expensive ass raw cards, like, at some point you just put it in a slab and live with the result. And not everybody's ranking of a card, evaluation of a card is created equal. That's why a lot of like people who are like going to shops for the first time are like, why is this shop got like, why is there, you know, somebody's A- is gonna be somebody's B. Somebody's B- is gonna be somebody's B+, A-. It is what it is. Same applies to like grading standards. And same applies to the viewer too. Like, I'm showing these cards and shit, I need to fix the light. Boom, more light. I should have done this. Now time to redo the whole video. Yeah, like person, keyboard warriors going like, why do you buy this? Who's gonna get a 6 or a 5? And then when I send it in, it gets a 7 or an 8. It's all subjective. I send these PSA and they give them all 4s or something. I had to keep some of these more together. Next, let's just go through this one. Actually, I'll go through that after. This one will be pretty fast. All right, so let's do that after. We got that. Yeah, these are A-, but I will be sending a few of these in. Should have bought more, but again, it is what it is. And you got yeah, I you know, they're like average, like cost came out to like $4 per card. The worst thing is I'm out like $300, whatever. Has a Pikachu in it. Yeah. Anyway, I said that part was gonna be fast, so I got that over with. And next, I'll go through these real quick. So we've got just some cheaper options for these promos. Like sometimes they don't want the box. I don't want to have to open the boxes, etc. People don't want a graded copy, they just want it for their binder. It's just a good, like, they're just good cards. Just gotta find the price that makes sense to me, and then be able to turn it into a price that makes sense for someone else. All right, so, this card's still fucking shit. This card's like a PSA 2 now. It's like stuck. Jesus Christ. Well, that's not good. Yeah, it looks like the sleeve got pinned against the card's not damaged. Maybe I gotta throw that in a loader. So we got Dominoes, Snorlax. Obviously not perfect, but for the price I paid, this copy is in much better condition than the ones listed online at the price that I paid. So and we'll throw in a loader now so it doesn't get caught up against the thing. Green Mewtwo. I think this card's really cute. This is a new championship fanfare card. pretty mangled JR Stamp Rally. Did not pay a lot of money for it. That's the goal. Got the budget lottery promo. Another cheap VS. More VS. This is a card I used to always have. That boat has passed, but when I can find it at just a low enough price and the condition kind of, you know, outpaces the price a little bit, you know, why not? For the one time, have a couple in stock for someone. 2 swirls. Or maybe if they're like cut off like that, maybe it's just 1 swirl that's combined. By all means, not a great card. Not like you can see the scratches going across, but geez, look at that hollow. Damn. Do I just have to like keep one of these for myself eventually? So you can see that there. That's pretty rough, but the front. VS, what can I say? You know, you see the theme already. That Clefairy had a very clean front. Boom, more card ass. Pretty clean, not taking them out. Clean, clean. There's good value on these. One of these has a couple of deep scratches in the back, so, but bought them on sale, found a good deal. Now was the time. Never saw it at, you know, the price that I bought it at before, ever. This was also what felt like a good deal. Like, I feel like I spent heavy play eBay pricing on this and got, there's like me, yeah, I see it. I got maybe like, you know, this feels like, I don't know. The front's really clean. It's got the back, like the back issues kind of there, but like it's not a 10. Obviously, it's not a 9, but damn, this is a really nice card. Seriously. Keep going. Again, not all these are just like combined, like, you know, halfway processed and then combined. This is a great card. I was always a Garchomp fan. You have this Kamex Mega Bataru stamp. So much better than the English version, Jesus. Mega Groudon. I've always been a fan of like the words where the Japanese version gets the English word of the move and vice versa. So cool. Hoopa. Honestly, like, the market is, you know, the price on this card is like, you know, it's been very steady in a PSA 10 at, you know, that 750 to 1,000. So you can find them for like 1,000 to 3,000 yen. Like, what are we doing? Imagine if Faulkner had a Skarmory in the first gym. This is a really nice card, honestly. Like, out of the VS, like, this one and that one and Murkrow are definitely, like, forgotten. Maybe the Sneasel, too. There's a swirl there. It's shitting out a swirl. I actually bought one last month in September, but then at the East Bay card show, it got bought, and I was kind of sad because I want to grade it. But it is what it is. Take them. I don't know why I bought this. It was a low price, but it's got issues. Two of these, they actually have creases on the side. So Pokepark, damaged Pokepark is not bad. Throw them on eBay, we find these are all just like low rank Card Rush. Again, this might be like C, but that has crease around the middle. But it was like 15 bucks, whatever. Sakura Pikachu, it's, you know, kind of chewed up, but another one of these, another one of those. So another Oyama fitting that, like, you know, right price, but obviously has its issues. Just a good card. All right. I'm gonna keep that stack there. I'll move it up a little bit. What do you have now? Boom. I think I can grade both of these and get a sequential. I looked at them before, they're quite clean. Got 4 of these. This is a personal favorite of mine. One day I will own a 10. The Jake Special, happened to find it, had to buy one of my own. Look at that holo. Typhlosion, always buying relatively clean copies for cheap. There are 2 of those. These 2 are gradable. I'm just sending those in. Lottery promo, it's not a 10, but it's good enough, especially like paying much lower price. And, you know, again, just having like near mint minus option. This is probably closer to LP plus, but just pretty good options at pretty good prices. And you don't have to. Not everybody wants a 10. So we got the Latios to go with the Latios. So I feel like I did shell out the money for just to complete the pair. But I didn't pay much more than the Latios for this one. And there's a swirl right in the middle. This copy is better than the Latios, but the fronts are both like the rationale for buying it, not the back. I mean, the backs have their issues. Another Pokepark, so I'm kind of buying into the hype. The Torchic's looking at the swirl. That's why I bought it. Just having copies of this. Like, I have 2 other raw copies that haven't sold yet. I've had them, you know, since last month. So I'll probably have to, like, you know, kind of tinker with the prices a little bit. Maybe I'm priced a little too high on them. Maybe not. Maybe the right buyer hasn't come by yet. We'll see. This is in worse condition than the other 2, so that could be the cheaper option. This, I've not found this at like the price I paid in a long time, so I picked it up. This I should probably get in a fucking top loader. More Cardass. Legend Lugia. They're not great, but honestly just a binder set, and it'll look like this, and somebody will be happy because they didn't have to spend a lot of money. Always buying. One day there will be a 10, I believe. This is only like 30 bucks. When do you find like a $30 Neo Lugia nowadays? You don't. Okay. So I gotta get this stack back into the box and have it stacked in order. We're almost done. We're getting there. Pick these up today, right as they were closing. Where does this one end? Okay. So this was another pickup. I think this is Neen clean. Probably pretty good. Good enough. But like, you just don't find, yeah. At that price, it's usually fucked up. Like, this is all just small stuff. The idea here is like, you know, on eBay, can I is it possible to net at least like $5 on some of these? And that's just like the floor for like possible margin. And that might not sound like a lot, but $5 is like boba, or it's part of one now. But like these VS Trainer cards, like these TM cards, do really well. Like, I'm talking, like, you see the price tags on these, but like, just like the visual confirmation of having sold them in the past for a lot more. Like, even at that $19.99 standard envelope rate, the margin's there. More Cardass, what can I say? Cardass shill channel. I don't even call this a channel. This is just just something to show for what I do. All damaged, but PokePark. Worst case scenario, what? I'm out. You know, $4 a card. These Piplips felt pretty good too. Like, in the future, if I ever decide to like put stuff in the binder, I have a lot of crap to choose from. All right. Pretty happy with these pickups. Like, you just don't see, like, yeah, it's got a crease in the middle, but you just don't see old EX for that price that often anymore. I'm like this for 300, yeah, it's got the issue there, but like, damn. $1 level X. Cubone, don't say more. This, yeah, whatever. These are good enough for what they are. No, they're not like mint, but you go to some other stores, and you add a 0 on the price, and it's like, why do they have a price like that? And it just made sense. And these, like, what are we doing? No brainer. Whatever. Again, what? No rarity. I sold a PSA 4 for like 150. But like, this feels like a 6. At worst, a Grader's good day is 7. Alright, this is what I was saying about CD Promo Blastoise. This is a Squirtle deck, but CD promo. I feel like I paid a lot for this, but nowadays it's just. It wasn't too long ago that in the store that I bought the really, really cheap CD promo kind of thing I was alluding to, where I bought a bunch of old back for super cheap. Like I found a fucked up copy of this card for 5,000 yen. It's a CD promo. But I had to recognize that a lot of times like those kind of deals are just like lightning in a bottle, and this is kind of like more normal. But the supply is just like, you know, where else are you gonna find like a bunch of CD promos at once, and they're all like pretty good. Like they'll go when they go, but on PSA 8 it's like pushing, you know, 250. You don't take that for fact, but it made sense to me. And the worst case scenario is I have a bunch of cool cards that, you know, they're pretty clean, and maybe I can do one of those like psychotic like binder photos where it's all the same card. Okay. Is this the last? Is that last stack? It's gonna be these loaders. So again, be your own judge of what you think condition's gonna be. Like, certainly not gonna 10, but like D minus. That should say enough. But in my opinion, I don't think it's a D minus. Yes, look at that. That doesn't look great, but just head on. That looks good. Like, I don't know if, as a grader, I don't think I would consider this a D minus card. Unless, well, you know, if it's a 6 out of 10, I guess technically that's a D minus. PSA 6? Probably not. It's like a PSA 5. It is a deep indent, but you know, you associate like D minus condition with D for damaged, but like look at the back. It's pretty good. That's my butt brushing against the leather of the chair, if you heard that. Anyway, so we've got a Masaki Machamp. I look at the price and I'm like questioning, like, why did I buy this? So we shall see. We'll find out together why I bought this. You definitely love to see that deep blue for old back. Yeah, I bought this because it's actually pretty clean. I'm just shining the light where the mark would be. Pretty good. Pretty good. Golem. See, they gave it C condition, and like I know I'm like looking at this card as though I'm doing like an unveiling, like I have no idea what I bought, but you just forget, like I didn't buy all this in one day. Maybe I should say I did, but it's over time. Damn, these hollows really hit different on a camera. Holy shit. It's like, whoa. Jesus, what am I doing? It's a lot harder to do this looking behind a camera than not. More Oyama. This is gonna still align with just like that. Just felt like a good enough value. Grade, condition. It's kind of there. See, not bad. Not amazing, but same exact card that has a 10 on the label. It's like, what, $4,000 now? 3.5? Obviously conditions there, but it's the same card. So this one's definitely worse than the other one. But it is what it is. The fact that I have the other one, the one with the peeling issue on the front, but still quite clean, is makes everything okay. So we've got 2 Alakazams to take us home. So yeah, that one's got a Masaki mark. But overall, again, like, I feel like what I'm doing here is I'm just slotting it in between grades of sales that I've done in the past. Like, obviously, I don't know what grade it'll for sure get, but what I can say is that I feel like I can, there is a positive, actionable next step post PSA grading across multiple grades where the outcome is positive in terms of a price. Damn, look at it. I didn't even, what the hell? There's another one there. I don't think I ever fully noticed. Is that another one? Yeah. Holy shit. I don't think I ever noticed that. Your eyes always go to that one. But that one. Maybe it's like something like that, right? Anyway. This one was more expensive than the other one. It still has some like sight of the mark there, but what you're paying for is the fact that those deep blues are deep. Scratching's pretty minimal. So like one of the old kind of like narratives or maybe like conclusions, and I was on this boat as well too, was that a dent was an auto 6. However, I will say, I think, over time, you kind of, you get perspective, and like just learning through that grading on like CGC. I don't grade with them anymore, but like their scale is different where has a dent, but the rest of the card is really clean. Like, then what do you call it? And I've seen really, really clean cards with some, scratch that can be kind of deep on the back, but everything else is perfect, and like you get an 8. And if this thing on the back is like the only issue, 8 feels like pretty good. Anyway, damn, look at that one. I know these aren't swirls, but they're just like patterns that are quite nice. Just like you see more here. Good night.